I see everyone else on TikTok sharing their mean girl hairdresser stories. I've had issues with a few hairdressers over the years, and all the issues that I've had 100% stem from them. I guess not paying attention and just not doing my hair correctly. And so this is my most recent mean girl hairdresser story. So this takes place back in May of last year. I decided that I was going to put more effort into keeping my hair in sew-ins because my hair grows the best when it's in sew-ins. And so I went looking for hair salons in Harlem to see who has the cheapest sew-ins. And so I came across this hair salon. It's called Upstage Beauty Bar. And I went ahead and scheduled my appointment with the owner of Upstage Beauty Bar. I told her I wanted a sew-in, and I told her that I was going to buy a closure because I didn't want to deal with the leave out. This was my very first time having a closure, so I went and ordered a closure from Amazon. I've ordered a closure from Amazon in the past, and the knots were really small. The lace was actually really fine to the point where it blended in perfectly with my skin. I tried to install it myself, and it didn't go very well, but the quality of the closure itself was pretty nice. So I went ahead and ordered a closure from Amazon, and the one that I ordered wasn't a good one. The knots were really big, and the lace was just way too thick. And she said it was like an older kind of closure, so it wasn't a good closure. I'm not faulting her for the fact that the closure was poor quality. The problem started when I went to the salon at the date and time that we agreed upon to get my hair done. Um, let's see, the first time that I went, I think she told me to come back the next day. And I think at that time I did have a little bit of flexibility, so I was able to. I think it was when I came back the next day. I think that's when the issues were. This was a Saturday when I came back the next day. And so what happened was she told me exactly what time. No, you know what? This was a Saturday. She told me what time to come, and I came. And then she told me she had overbooked. She asked me to come back later on, so I did come back later on that day. And then when I came back later on, I waited for it was almost 2 hours. I waited for almost 2 hours, and I didn't have a problem with the fact that it was a busy day for her. My problem was that I came at the time that she asked me to come, and I sat there for, to be more specific, it was like an hour and 45 minutes. That's what kind of agitated me, because I would have been more than happy to come back at the time that she wanted me to come back, where more of her clients would have been taken care of. And it just kind of agitated me that I was sitting there for like an hour and 45 minutes, because I mean, I don't like wasting my time like that. There's other things that I would have been doing at that time. And I told her that. And so I told her, um, I said to her, I would have came back later. And she said, I'm real busy on Saturdays. And I said, that's fine, but I would have came back later. I didn't say it with an attitude or anything like that, because I don't believe in giving attitude to people that are going to show you a service, that are going to provide you a service. You need the person to do a good job. So I didn't say it with an attitude. I just said I would have came back later. And she said, I'm real busy on Saturdays. And I said, that's fine, but I would have came back later. And then the client whose hair she was doing whispered something to her, and then I heard her say, mm-hmm. And then ever since then, she had a massive attitude. Like when she wanted me to sit in her chair so she could wash my hair, she said, sit over here, lean back, turn your head this way. Like everything she said was super curt, and she basically kind of like ignored me the rest of the day. And she just had a huge attitude. When she did my closure, so this is what the closure looked like. On my way back to my apartment, I felt very self-conscious because even though the way she layered it and curled it looked really pretty, the way she laid it nice and flat, that all looked great. The way she braided the braids underneath, she's not like a heavy braider, so all of that was fantastic. It's just the way she did the closure. So once I got back to my apartment, as soon as I walked into my building, my neighbor, who's one of my best friends here in New York, was walking out of the building. And she looked right at my hair and she said, did you just get a wig installed? And I said, no, it's not a wig, it's a closure. And she said, oh, it looks like a wig. And I'm glad she said that. My friend is the type of person who speaks her mind. She doesn't hold back. And I'm glad she said that, because that confirmed for me that I wasn't crazy, that she really did do that incorrectly. And I told my friend that I told the hairdresser, the owner of the salon, that she didn't install the closure correctly, and that her and the other women in the salon tried to gaslight me. And my friend said, it looks good. It's just, my friend said the sewing itself looked great. It's just the closure in the front did not look right. So I'm glad that she confirmed that for me. This was my first attempt at trying to fix the closure. As you can see, I cut off a little bit of hair because I was going to try to swoop it across and see if I can cover up my edges. As you see, that didn't go very well. And I tried to put makeup on the closure to match my skin tone. That didn't go very well either. This was my next attempt at trying to make the closure look a little bit more natural. I pulled little bits and pieces of hair from one side over to the other to see if I can get it to cover up the part a little bit to make it look, I don't know, a little bit more messy to try to hide the knots or hide the grids because I was just really self-conscious about the grids. Now I know that there is a way where you can tamper with the closure before you install it on. Like there is a way to make it look like there's a scalp and to cover up the grids. I know how to do that now, but I didn't know how to do that before. As you see, I tried to swoop some of the hair over to cover up the edges, and it didn't. I mean, it didn't look terrible, but I still didn't really feel all that good about it. I told the hairdresser I didn't like how it turned out. I told her about my interaction that I had with my neighbor, and her response was, "Well, I want to see what hair looks like." And I'm like, "Listen," she looked directly at it and immediately knew that something wasn't right. So the owner of the salon had me come back and she took off the closure and she reinstalled it. And she kind of did it like at the last minute. She kind of dropped everything and did that, which I do appreciate. I do appreciate that she did that. At this point, this is when she took the closure off, moved it closer to the front of my head. I appreciated her coming in after hours to try to fix it. You see, I put a little swoop up there in the front, trying to hide the line of demarcation. And to me, it still didn't look right. This was the third time that I went back to the salon. I did go back a third time, but this third time she told me what store to go to, what kind of closure to get. I was grateful that she gave me that guidance. This third time that she installed it, as you see, it looks a lot different than the first two times. But I will say that this third time when she installed the closure, that is when her attitude was the absolute worst. Let me start out by saying that first she sprayed lace tint onto this closure to make it match my skin tone a little bit better. She didn't do that the first or the second time. The second thing that she did was she took some type of elastic bands and sewed them onto the closure and then sewed those elastic bands onto the braids to create tension with the closure because you have to kind of stretch the closure out to make it, hold in place. She didn't do that the first or the second time. So I thought to myself, okay, so she knew what to do the entire time. The third thing that she did was oh, this third time, she had me hold down the closure this time when she sewed it on, but she didn't want me to hold it down before. When I kept asking her before if she wanted me to hold it down, she kept snapping at me and giving me attitude. This time she had me hold it down. Another thing that she did where she was just being completely nasty, like for no reason. When she started to sew down the closure, she was literally sewing it across my forehead diagonal. Like she just had a huge attitude. Even the way she was sewing it with an attitude. And she sewed the closure, she put the closure on my forehead diagonal, started sewing it down. And I said, "You're going to sew it down like that?" And she's like, "Well, where else am I supposed to put it? Where else do you want me to put the closure if I don't put it on your forehead?" And I said, "It's diagonal." So I asked her to make it straight. And then on top of that, she was asking me, "Did you want me to glue it? Did you want me to sew it down?" And I said, "Well, which do you think is better?" And again, she was giving me attitude. "Well, I don't know which is better for your lifestyle." And I'm just like, "You're the hairdresser. You're supposed to give me guidance because I'm not an expert at doing hair." But I ended up, just letting her sew it down and she put those elastic bands on it. Another thing is that her daughters and their father were there at the salon too. So in the middle of her doing my hair, she kept stopping and dancing around with her daughters. And then her daughters kept running in and out of the salon. And so she kept running in and out of the salon, like yelling at them to come back inside. And she kept yelling right in my ear. And then in addition to that, when she sprayed the water on the closure to try to, you have to spray it and then brush it down and then blow dry it and then flatten it, she sprayed some of the water in my face. And then if you take a look at the back of the head, you can see that there's a bump back there. Like she left that little bump up there where she didn't flatten it down when she should have. And then on top of that, the whole time that she kept doing my hair, she kept saying, "This hair is, it's just, this hair is, She just kept saying that. And the quality of the hair was fine. So she was just being nasty for no reason. And it seems like she had an attitude it seems like me asking her to do the closure correctly was making her angry. That's what it looked like to me. It's really sad to me that she was willing to be so nasty to a paying customer because that was my second time having her do one of my sew-ins. She did one spring of last year, earlier in the year, and she did a really good job. And I thought her prices were pretty reasonable, and she seemed so sweet and friendly. And I had spent a few $100s on her within just a few months, and I was prepared to like keep coming to her to maintain my hair. And so that's unfortunate that she was so comfortable being so nasty to somebody that was ready to spend money on her that was not nasty to her. And it's unfortunate that some black hairdressers are like that. So if you've gone to this hair salon and you've had a good experience with the owner of Upstage Beauty Bar, then that's good for you. She doesn't take criticism very well. So that never gave her attitude, not once, because like I said, I don't believe in giving attitude to people that are providing me with a service. But it's unfortunate that some black hairdressers are comfortable being nasty to paying customers when it's, escalating situations when it's not even necessary. Needless to say, I'm never going back to this hair salon again. Blocked and deleted their phone number. And so that's my mean girl hairdresser story. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. More content coming soon.